Okay, we're joined by our friend Troy Overholt, definitely a friend of the pod here. Maybe distantly related to Ashton, but don't be thrown by the last names. Definitely not closely related. So, Troy is a Clemson fan. Ashton is a Georgia fan. Obviously, the big game of the weekend, Georgia Clemson. So we thought we'd get Troy on to help us kind of preview that. So I guess I'll throw it to you, Troy. First of all, what are you looking for in this game? Just initial thoughts.
Well, I'm looking for a W, most importantly. But as far as how I think the game will play out, I think it should be a really good game. I'm feeling a lot better with the Georgia injuries, and I'd be interested to hear what Ashton says. I don't have any insider information from Georgia's camp as far as the Eric Gilbert dude, and then also uh, George Pickens obviously being out. I watched some tape of Georgia from last year, and man, it's good he's not playing because he is a stud. That if he was playing, I feel like in my mind it would be a toss-up game. Right now, I think Clemson has the advantage, but he would be. I feel like he would be if he Georgia had him, it would be Georgia lean for sure. I think he's that big of a difference maker. And I don't know about Blaylock. Is he going to be back for this game? Do you know?
He's currently questionable.
Okay.
Yeah, game time decision, along with actually a couple other receivers.
Yeah,
So,
Jermaine Burton, he's another guy. And last year, watching Georgia, he's the one that jumped out to me as being a very good wideout. And it'll be very interesting to see if he's healthy, if he's back 100%. I've seen something about maybe he's back to practice like last week already. So I would think that'd be enough time for him to definitely be a good player for that. But the injuries for Georgia has me feeling a little better about Clemson's chances. As far as how I see it playing out, I think it's going to be fairly defensive battle to start with. Simply first game of the year. Clemson doesn't usually play very good the first game of the year. They had Auburn a couple years ago. Now that was at Jordan-Hare, and that ended up being a 14-9 or 16-9 game with Deshaun Watson. They ended up winning the national championship, but that first game, I mean, it just looked good. And that Auburn team did turn out to be pretty decent, but I don't love Clemson in game one. That would be my biggest knock on Clemson is game one, they're usually figuring things out, and you're not going to have time for that. So I think it'll be a lower scoring than I originally thought. I'm leaning more towards like 28, 21, 31, 24, something like that. I was originally thinking the winner scoring more like, I mean, both teams are going to score 30, but I don't think it'll happen just because I think the first quarter is going to be like maybe 7-3 at the end of the first, something like that, and then pick up in the third and fourth quarter when defenses get a little more tired and all. But there's a lot of unknowns with Clemson too, as far as who's going to step up. Replacing Amari Rogers, I like the idea of Justin Ross. I think he's back. Everybody says he's back to freshman year, one-handed catch, Alabama game. I mean, he's a difference maker. To me, he would be the kind of the equivalent of George Pickens. But is he fully healthy? I don't know. And that to me will be if he's fully healthy, I think Clemson's got it. But if he's not, and I don't know why, Mike Williams came back from a neck injury a couple years ago, and did play well from the get-go. But who knows? I don't know if you want me to pick a final score, players you think that I think will step up, or what? What do you guys want to hear more of?
Let's maybe get some more of that later, Ashton. I want to just hear kind of what you heard from Troy right there. What stood out to you? What do you agree with? What do you think maybe might be different than what Troy said? What are your thoughts?
I think we agree on the style of game it's going to be. I initially thought it was going to be a high scoring game, kind of a 35-31 type, maybe even into the 40s. Currently, I kind of going down on it. I think maybe more a 27-24 type game. I think a lower scoring game. I think both defensive lines will really get after it. I think we'll see some sacks. I think it'll be kind of breaking in, especially with Clemson. Clemson's replacing a ton of production. Trevor Lawrence, I don't think it's appreciated enough how much of a generational talent he was. Special player. And those, you don't just find those. We really like the Clemson quarterback situation. We think DJ is going to be really good, but just replacing the experience that he brought is going to, I think it'll take some time. ETN, another guy, I think it's going to take some time to replace production. You can't just go find these guys. So I think it'll take a little bit for both offenses to kind of find a rhythm. With Georgia, I think Troy hit it right on. I think the injuries are a big deal. With Pickens out, Eric Gilbert, Kirby actually just released it 3 hours ago. He said no update other than that he's not with us right now. He said we're praying for him each and every day that he can come back healthy. We think it's a mental health issue. There hasn't been much let on. But it does seem that it's not a physical injury, but it does seem like it is a mental health thing. So Georgia does have talent there at receiver. There's other guys that will be needing to step up. Jermaine Burton seems to be back after the injury last year. He is practicing. He does seem like he will be a go. Kearis Jackson also seems like he will be a go. Justin Robinson, Adonai Mitchell, Arian Smith, kind of a couple other names just to watch, kind of in the departure of some of the bigger names that will not be playing. So, Eric Gilbert seems to be out. George Pickens obviously is out. Darnell Washington, the 5-star tight end, got nicked up. He will be missing this game, it seems, as well as Tyke Smith, the safety transfer from West Virginia, kind of an All-American candidate there, will probably not be playing as well. So, me and Troy, and we haven't discussed this, me and Troy have money on this game. So this matters. This one here matters. I felt much better about this game when I made that bet. The injuries have come on fast and furious since then. Hopefully we're healthy. I think it'll be a very competitive game. I think both defenses, like I said, will really get after it. I think I'm really impressed with the defenses on both sides. I think it's going to be kind of maybe a little bit more old school. I think maybe a little bit more running attack from Georgia, just because they don't have the weapons. I think Georgia's offense is evolving, but I don't think they're going to just throw caution to the wind without their stud receivers playing. So kind of a couple players to look at is Adam Anderson on the defensive side of the ball, kind of the former 5-star. He's the edge rusher. He's popping in camp. So looking for him to get a couple big plays, maybe some sacks, and cause some pressure, some havoc on the offensive side of the ball. Looking at James Cook, Dalvin's little brother, James. He plays really well. He's a pass catching running back, but he does get some run in between the tackles a little bit, but he's kind of the matchup nightmare a little bit on the edge. I don't know if you watched the Alabama Georgia game last year, 80-yard touchdown on just a little wheel route. They look for him to get matchups. That's what I think that's going to be more of that in this game. Those would be my 2 players to watch.
And Clemson has always had a problem. They recruit extremely good hitting linebackers because Brent Venables likes to blitz all the time, but they've always struggled with covering the running back out of the backfield. It's a known weakness for a long time. You think of Ben Boulware. They won a national championship with him. Awesome player, could not cover a running back to save his life, but awesome hitter. Everything else did well. This year, I do think they have a little bit better shot with Trenton Simpson. He's a guy that I'm saying to watch on the defensive side for Clemson. He's a 5-star guy. I think he's a sophomore. He played at the end of last year. Mike Jones Jr., I don't know if you're familiar with him. He transferred to LSU. He was starting. He got injured. Trent Simpson came in and took his spot, and he transferred at the end of the year, presumably because his spot got taken. So, and he's I think he's 6'3" and a fast linebacker. I think he's going to have a shot. But if Brent Venables' son's out there trying to cover him like they did against Notre Dame, there's no chance. It's no chance on covering him, because I'm definitely worried about that. And the other thing, any team that beats Clemson, always, okay, aside from Notre Dame, at Notre Dame Stadium last year when, sorry, Vince, a lot of Clemson injuries, but every other team that beats fully healthy Clemson always goes up tempo. You cannot, if you sit there and let Brent Venables look at your defense and change his about 4 times before the snap, I don't see it happening. Unless Georgia's offensive line is good enough to just manhandle like, okay, in 2014, that's exactly what happened with Todd Gurley. I mean, came third and fourth quarter, they were just pushing Clemson around. And I don't think that'll happen this year with the line that Clemson's, if everybody's healthy, Tyler Davis, Brian Brzee, you got a couple good edge rushers. I feel good about not stopping the run, but I don't see 2014 happening where Gurley's going for 180 or whatever he did in that game. But if Georgia can and that break their tendency and be willing to snap the ball 10 seconds into the clock, 15 seconds into the clock, rather than setting up and letting Venables look, that's huge. I mean, you think Ohio State last year, they just mauled Clemson with that. Syracuse, when they beat Clemson, I mean, just out of the blue, they're snapping the ball with immediately. And that hurts Clemson's defense. I mean, they have shown great. South Carolina did it a couple years ago, put up 35 on them when everybody else was putting up 15. So that would be something I'd be worried about, covering your running backs. Because I do think I don't like Zamir White. I hate his running style. He kind of tipped over strange, kind of runs high. James Cook looks like so much better runner. But I think him catching the ball in the backfield is going to be a big difference maker.
Respond, Ashton.
Yeah, no, I feel kind of the same way a little bit. With Zeus anyway, to his point about Zamir White, he's very much the three. He's more of a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type back, which does work a little bit in Kirby's offense. He's fairly effective. He can pop a few long runs
against Missouri.
Well, and Florida. Let's not throw out the 75-yarder against Florida. But no, the explosive plays are going to come from. It feels like Kendall Milton, who's our backup kind of to Zeus, and then James Cook out wide, as well as with some of the young speedsters that we do have, maybe a Jermaine Burton or an Arian Smith. For me, I just need to go ahead and get our final picks in here. My final pick, 27-24. I like Georgia. I feel a lot worse about it than I did. But yeah, I was extremely confident. I think Kirby kind of follows what Saban does and really comes out week one firing. But yes, so the injuries do hurt. I like Georgia by a field goal.
What about you, Troy?
And I don't know, you're going to say I'm homerish, but I'm still saying with the injuries, I felt it was basically a coin flip game until all these injuries. I'm going to go 28-21 Clemson. So okay. I'm thinking a touchdown spread. It's going to be close all the way through. If Georgia won, I would not be shocked. I mean, I really wouldn't. And this is the start of the year. Everyone's team looks good on paper. It's always going to be the national championship season until it's not. And so, I mean, something of our predictions is not going to happen. But a guy that you have to watch, I had this all queued up for you. The guy on the offense that you got to watch, he's going to score a touchdown. Will Shipley, true freshman, absolutely blowing everybody away in camp, catching punts. They're saying there's a chance he starts at running back. Now, Clemson released a depth chart today that was kind of whatever, a bunch of ors on it. And, this guy or this guy, and didn't say much. And he's not listed as a starter there. So I don't know if it's just smoke or not, but they say he's Christian McCaffrey is kind of the comparison because he's white probably, but quick, shifty, can catch the ball. A great runner. They say in between the tackles too. He weighs 205 already as a true freshman. I think you're going to see something out of him. And then the last guy to watch is a Joe. Big, tall guy, wide receiver. I think it was a 4-star coming out. He played in Canada, and he didn't start playing football till he was like 15 or 16 or something like that. He had never played football. I don't know if he was playing hockey or what, but he didn't start playing football till late, and he's a freak athlete. Clemson's spring game, he went for like 125 or something like that, and 2 touchdowns. He's another guy they say is doing really good in camp. I don't take a lot out of that. I mean, camp is camp. The coaches aren't usually saying this guy sucks. I mean, they want you to be worried about everybody. So that doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but I do think he's he has enough talent. Maybe a deep ball, some throw it up on a one-on-one matchup. Seems like the guy to kind of go get it. So Will Shipley, Joe on the offense. And then I'm saying Trent Simpson at linebacker and probably Andrew Booth at corner. He's the guy with the one-handed picks and all, but he's also done some stupid stuff. He can get beat in coverage. Will be very interesting to watch those two guys.
Man,
So I'm saying 28-21 Clemson.
This has been great just to hear you guys talk about it. And I guess a question for Troy, not necessarily just with this game, but maybe a season question as relates to Clemson. And I'm glad you mentioned Will Shipley, because I was going to ask you. So obviously you lose Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. I'm sorry, couldn't remember his name for a second there. So DJ Uiagalelei, I just had to get that out there. DJ Uiagalelei and Will Shipley. Are these the next? Like, is this going to be like? How much of a drop off do you expect? I guess you could answer this for game one, but also for the whole season. Is this just copy paste from last year, or what do you expect?
Against everyone but Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, yeah, it's copy paste. They're going to destroy 95% of their schedule. And I think that's going to help Clemson, because DJ, I mean, if he can get through the Georgia game, he's got some time to grow. Now, they do have NC State in like the fourth game of the season at NC State, which is a tough place to play, whether they're a good team or a bad football team that's always raucous and everybody's drunk and it's loud. And Clemson's got pounded there in the past when they were favored. But I think if he can get through the Georgia game and they can just find a way to win, I think that he's going to settle in. And I think by the season's end, I mean, it's impossible to say he's going to be a match to Trevor Lawrence, just because, I mean, he was a freak. The one thing that would be interesting is if he's going to run the ball. Clemson has nothing as backup. I don't know if they're going to let him run. Last year they let Trevor Lawrence run. So that'll be an interesting thing to see. I think there'll be a drop-off at running back. It's impossible to replace Etienne running the ball. Pass blocking, he was not very good, so that'll be a little bit, maybe a fair trade-off. Letting him, maybe the guys that come in are better at pass blocking than Etienne was. I don't think anyone would be better at running the ball until I see it. I won't believe it. Etienne was crazy.